Today, we dive into the enigmatic world of Honkai Star Rail. Specifically, we'll be tackling the lingering question on everyone's mind: is Firefly truly gone? Lots of theories have been circling online, and today I want to share my own theories and reveal everything that I have found while dissecting the story and everything else involved. As always, if you guys enjoy these videos and you want to see more Honkai Star Rail content, be sure to like the video and hit that subscribe button to be notified for future videos. I will start this off by saying what my theory is before going too deep into the discussion. My theory is that Firefly is not dead, and that Firefly is actually Titania herself, or a descendant of Titania. You know anything about Titania's lore, then you know that Titania is the queen of the fairies, and also the empress of Glamoth and the supreme commander of Glamoth's Iron Cavalry Regiment, an army of genetically modified silver mechas. Glamoth was an empire that built Iron Knights to fight against the invasion of the Swarm. The empire also created a weapon, Titania the Empress, who could telepathically control these Iron Knights. Titania is described as a weapon that was born to fight. She was powerless, but had the ability to communicate with mechas telepathically, and had rebelled against her own captivity. I will explain all of this in much more detail later on and why I think this is. Firefly is shrouded in secrecy. Her origins and her true nature still remain ambiguous, and yet her playful and cryptic words paint a fascinating picture. Let's start from the beginning. Once we do the jump with the Astral Express and meet Acheron for the first time, we also see all the other characters in a dreamscape standing around. All of these characters are prominent and important to the story of Penacony, and yet Firefly is nowhere to be found, but Sam is. You see Sam standing next to Silverwolf, who is also the person who led us straight to where Sam is and where the tragedy that befell Firefly is. Sam and Firefly are never shown together in the same scene. Now, I know some of you will say, well, Sam was only in like 2 scenes so far, and while that is true, I will touch more on this later. Again, I want to reiterate that even though Sam, Silverwolf, and Sparkle were all intruders in Penacony, they were still present in the hotel lobby. Now, why was Firefly, who played such a massive role in the 2.0 story, not introduced here? My thoughts on this is maybe that she is not real in the real world, and she is only a dream. If you've ever played Final Fantasy X, the main character, Tidus, also is not real and is only a dream. This could be due to her chronic disease called entropy loss syndrome, which is an irreversible chronic dissociation of the physical body, resulting in it slowly fading away. We'll touch a lot more on that later on in the video, but for now, let's continue. When we first meet Firefly, she asks us for help from the Bloodhound family, who are looking for a person with silver hair, but they're actually looking for someone with silver armor. She introduces herself to you as just an amateur stage actor, which to me, this was just a very clever alibi. This could also be a small hint at how the Stellaron Hunters conduct themselves in their work. Elio, also known as Destiny's Slave, is the leader of the Stellaron Hunters, possessing the ability to foresee future possibilities. He uses scripts to guide his hunters in their missions. The other Stellaron Hunters, who are also Destiny's slaves due to Elio's scripts, perform their missions as if they're acting out a scene from a movie. In other words, they're also actors. Firefly also was very sus in the way that she had such sharp intuition. She was able to sense Sampo's faint presence even when the MC themselves failed to notice him at all. She also immediately grabs you and runs away when Black Swan shows up to fight the death meme, almost as if she has had a lot of combat experience, much like the Empress Titania that I mentioned earlier. Baki also implies that she is not innocent or honest, which makes sense if she spent a lifetime fighting wars against the Swarm, where she probably had to sacrifice a lot of lives and make many tough decisions during real combat. Also, when Sparkle puts both you and Firefly into the real dreamscape, you see Firefly standing over a defeated enemy, which means that she is more than capable of fending for herself, and that she is actually quite strong. At least maybe here in the dreamscape she is, where she has a tangible body. When you get to Firefly's secret hideout, she tells you that her home planet was destroyed by either the Swarm or the Legion.
My hometown was destroyed a long time ago. It was probably the doing of the Legion or the Swarm, but I'm an interstellar refugee, just like many of the Penacony locals.
As I said earlier, Sam originated from the Iron Cavalry of Glamoth, which was destroyed by the Swarm. So just like Firefly, Sam is also an interstellar refugee who lost his homeworld. I touched on Firefly's chronic condition earlier, entropy loss syndrome, but let's dive a little bit deeper into that. She describes it as a progressive deterioration of one's body movement and speech. As it worsens, the patient will no longer be able to tell dreams from reality. The definition of entropy is the degradation of the matter and energy in the universe to an ultimate state of inert uniformity. Entropy is the general trend of the universe toward death and disorder. A campfire is actually a great example of this. The solid wood burns and becomes ash, smoke, and gases, all of which spread energy outward more easily than the solid fuel. Another example I can give to all of you fellow weebs out there, if that was too complicated, is it's very similar to the fire inside of All Might when he's fighting All for One. He uses the last of his power and the fire goes out. You can think of Firefly's body in reality as that fire. And if you observe Sam, he's capable of generating immense amounts of heat within himself. As I explained, high heat equals entropy, which in theory might be able to counteract Firefly's entropy loss. So it's possible that Firefly uses the mecha, aka Sam, to exist in reality to counteract her illness. Since we meet Firefly inside the dreamscape, she doesn't need the mecha and can appear without it. You also notice that many times during the conversation at her secret hideout that she says that she cannot achieve her dreams in reality. Also, when Sam meets us for the first time in the German, French, and Spanish dubs, he refers to himself as the Huntress. Many people are theorizing that Sam, after Firefly's death, has become sentient, and it could be calling itself Huntress because since its pilot was a female, then maybe the suit itself also thinks of itself as a female. I don't really know how I feel about that theory because I also just think that Sam is his own person, and Firefly, if she is Titania, then I think that she just assists him and also gives him power and not completely controls him like a damn Megazord. I guess the best way that I can explain how I think Firefly and Sam work is similar to Iron Man, except Firefly, who is pretty much Jarvis, is communicating to Sam telepathically instead of being a part of the suit itself. Also, take a guess at which planet that these similar symptoms were also found on. Yep, you got it, Sam's home planet. As I explained briefly earlier, Sam was a remnant of the Iron Cavalry, a genetically modified human made to fend off and fight the Swarm. The Iron Cavalry were controlled telepathically by the Empress Titania, and under her command, she motivated her warriors with false dreams, all to protect Glamoth's non-existent empire. But the problem was, in the never-ending battle against their arch-enemy, the empire started becoming more and more like its adversary. More and more, Iron Cavalry flew high into the sky, blotting out the heavens just as the Swarm did on that fateful day. The look people cast on the Empress and the Cavalry turned to one of fear, a fear akin to what they felt towards the Swarm. Now, let's talk about how Firefly was able to re-enter the real dreamscape, or maybe she never even left in the first place. Because again, let's remember that there is a possibility that Firefly is either in a coma in reality, or she is similar to Yuki from SAO, constantly hooked up to machines to keep her alive. If you remember in the conversation with her in the secret hideout, she said that here in the dreamscape, she can free herself from the icy medical cabin. To me, this is akin to a coma or the ICU, intensive care unit, for those of you that don't know medical terms. She also says that here in the dreamscape, she can forget about all the doctor's advice. She can see and listen and touch and understand whatever she wants with her body. So I think when Black Swan told us that she's probably rubbing her groggy eyes in reality now, and that it shouldn't be possible for her to still be in that dreamscape and for us not to worry, the reason that she was still in that real dreamscape is because she doesn't have a body to go back to. And I don't think that Sparkle could be the culprit behind why she is still in that dreamscape, because Acheron said that she was transported to the dreamscape by Sparkle, if we can even believe what Acheron says at this point. But I will talk about Acheron in depth in another video. The only other person that knew how to enter this dreamscape to lead us to Sam, which also led us back to Firefly as well, was Silverwolf. I think this proves Firefly's connection to the Stellaron Hunters even more as well. Now we are coming to the main point on why I think Firefly is not dead. I know it took a while to get here, but I had to explain all the other details before I got to this point to really make you understand my thought process behind all of this. Once we get to the heartwarming and uplifting part of the story, Firefly's death, you can see a bright gold light leaving from Firefly's body. That is completely separate from the memory bubbles that are evaporating from her body. And if you notice, during Robin's scene, she doesn't have that same gold orb leaving her body. Now, this is the most important detail that really drives my theory of her being the Empress Titania, because in every other iteration of Titania, she is seen as the queen of the fairies, and fairies are generally depicted as flying balls of light, kind of like what a firefly might look like. And I think that eventually she is going to connect with Sam somehow. That is probably why Sam was sent to Penacony by Elio, so he can meet Firefly. This could also explain why Sam has Firefly-colored wings in the Penacony launch trailer music video for White Knight. He connects with Firefly and maybe unlocks a new hidden power or something along those lines. To further add to this theory, after Firefly's death, we discover what happened to her along her way to the lobby. During this time, Black Swan points out that Firefly called Sam a mecha. Firefly is the only person in the game to call Sam a mecha. Everyone else has always described Sam as human. Blade has called Sam a person wearing giant armor in the story, and Silverwolf has called him a metal humanoid. The Bloodhound family also, when they were looking for him, called him a man in silver armor. The only other place that the term mecha has been used is in the simulated universe lore for Glamoth and the new relic set called Glamoth's Iron Cavalry Regiment, where it is used mecha to describe the Iron Cavalry. Countless silver mechas were loaded into warships and sailed to the outer edges of the galaxy to fend off vicious swarm from deep space. And also, Glamoth's Silent Tombstone says, only debris of stardust, mechas, warships, and the corpses of the swarm were left drifting in the vacuum to form a river of residua, preserving the original battle scene of the bloody warfronts and serving as a monument to its downfall. In the White Knight music video, you can see Sam has wings and fire with similar color to Firefly's clothing while fighting against Acheron, who I now believe to be the villain of the story in Penacony. Sam has also been canonically shown to only use regular colored fire even when he is flying. I'm almost positive that he will be getting an upgrade later on in the story, which is kind of terrifying, to be honest. And I think it will be because of Firefly. Also, I'd like to point out that when we confront Sam in the same place where Firefly is killed, by the way, he seems like he's going on a rampage and just killing everything in sight, possibly due to the anger and frustration that he felt of not being able to protect her. Because remember, the Iron Cavalry were also supposed to protect the Empress Titania. One of the reasons I believe this to be is because while figuring out what happened to Firefly, you hear her say, "Mecha, why?" This was not a part of the deal. She then gets locked in a room by Sam because he was probably trying to protect her from the death meme and maybe trying to hunt it down himself, which I believe is controlled by Acheron, but that is an entirely different theory for another video. Going back to when we confront him, he does not even acknowledge us as an enemy and instead tells Acheron and Black Swan to leave or he will kill them. After the battle is over, we get a cutscene of Sam actually trying to grab us, not kill us, and take us away from both Black Swan and Acheron. But Acheron stops him very quickly, so quickly that it makes her so sus in why she didn't even bother to save Firefly, because with that speed, she definitely could have. Then, Black Swan, also very sus, teleports us away from them. I'm very curious why Sam wants to get us alone and what he wants to talk to us about. Another little small reference I'd like to talk about here is the fact that Sam and Firefly also seems to be a reference to a children's book called Sam and the Firefly. I skimmed through this quickly to see if there was anything that tied this children's book to Star Rail, but after going through it and skimming through everything, it doesn't really seem like it connects that much. It's just a cool piece of information to kind of add to this theory. While conclusive answers still remain elusive, a lot of the evidence suggests Firefly's demise may not actually be the end. Ultimately, Hoyoverse and Shoji are cooking, and they are keeping us guessing and fueling our theorizing flames. So what are your thoughts on my theory? Share your thoughts and your theories in the comment section down below. Do you believe that Firefly is truly gone? Or Is she waiting to return in a surprising new plot twist? Let's keep the discussion alive and unravel the mysteries of Penacony together. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you like the video, hit the subscribe button, and ring that notification bell to be notified for future Honkai Star Rail and Honkai Impact 3rd videos. I will also be covering Wuthering Waves heavily during its beta and its official release as well. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.